Welcome to the Diversity Executive Leadership Academy course, High Impact Cultural Diversity Recruitment. Why is cultural diversity recruitment important? Cultural diversity recruitment is both a social responsibility and business imperative. Recruiting a culturally diverse staff is essential for modern businesses to remain relevant and competitive. Here are 4 benefits of cultural diversity in the workplace. 1. Cultural diversity is an essential best practice for promoting inclusion. 2. It offers diverse viewpoints. A team of people from different cultural backgrounds and perspectives offer a variety of ideas, knowledge, and ways of solving problems. 3. Superior problem solving. By ensuring that your organization has sufficient diversity, work teams can include staff from various social and cultural backgrounds. 4. A 4th benefit is that cultural diversity offers a competitive edge. Organizations with a reputation for valuing cultural differences attract talented employees. They believe their talents will be appreciated. By designing and developing deliberate diversity recruitment practices, an organization can attract employees who may not have considered applying. Harnessing cultural diversity for the sake of growth and value creation. Recent research by McKinsey & Company indicates that implementing cultural diversity best practices and increasing workforce cultural diversity is accompanied by greater organizational competitiveness against peers. First, companies ranking in the top 25% for gender diversity on their executive teams were 21% more likely to have above-average profitability than companies in the bottom 25%, according to the McKinsey study. This is especially true for women representation in the executive level. Second, successful cultural diversity recruitment increases competitiveness by 33%. It is clearly advantageous to make a serious commitment to cultural diversity. Organizations that choose to opt out of a commitment to promoting cultural diversity lose big time. Unfortunately, we do not know which cultural diversity best practices or configuration of the practices that contribute to better business outcomes. Cultural diversity recruitment is the primary goal of most, if not all, cultural diversity initiatives. Most organizations struggle to meet cultural diversity objectives whether the goal is to increase talent or promote talent to leadership positions. How to think about diversity and your own staffing needs before embarking on a recruitment effort. Use the information and ideas in this course to consider the diverse perspectives you wish your team to include. Also consider the challenges you will likely face in recruiting the right staff. We often think about fit when considering a potential hire. Fit does not mean hiring someone who is the same as your existing staff. Instead, the concept of fit might be better described as a jigsaw puzzle. The pieces mesh together but where each piece is unique and contributes something that is otherwise missing. Here are 5 things to consider in the development of a recruitment plan. 1. Understand what constitutes diversity. Cultural diversity is a broad concept that implies inclusion of the many characteristics that differentiate us from each other. Sometimes these characteristics affect our view of the world, our experiences, and our ways of relating to our surroundings and each other. High-performing organizations show a commitment to valuing the many perspectives that arise from a variety of cultures, races, gender, religions, national origins, ages, physical and cognitive capabilities, sexual orientations, and other ways we identify ourselves. By hiring a culturally diverse staff, you will have access to different perspectives that can optimize your team's capacity. 2. Recognize your own biases, both conscious and unconscious. We all have certain leanings or preferences, often called biases, and often we are not even aware of them. Focus on uncovering your own biases so that they won't get in the way of your making the best hiring choices. For example, do you tend to tune out those with foreign or regional accents, feel uncomfortable around people with disabilities, make assumptions about graduates of religious schools, historically black colleges, or women's colleges, or about scholarship in women's or minority studies, believe that a younger person will be quicker and more creative than an older person? 3. It is worth the effort to uncover your own biases. Once they are out in the open, you will be able to consider whether your image of the perfect candidate is affected by your particular preferences rather than the actual qualifications and competencies needed for a position, and you will be able to judge candidates on their individual merits rather than on your own conscious or unconscious responses to their characteristics. A good place to start in identifying your own biases is with these implicit association tests on topics including age, gender, sexuality, and disability at https://implicit.harvard.edu implicit-demo800-PPT-camtasia. 4. Evaluate the diversity of your current team. To find the best fit for your team, that missing jigsaw puzzle piece, first take stock of the characteristics currently represented on your staff. Ask yourself these questions. A. What are the diversity strengths in my department? B. How can I build on those strengths? C. What are the diversity challenges in my department? D. How can I address those challenges? 5. Put together resources needed to plan your efforts if necessary. Before launching a recruitment campaign, discuss your hiring goals with your consultant and our cultural diversity team, including your affirmative action liaison. This will help assure that all parties involved in the hiring process will consider your department's current demographic profile and note if there are affirmative action goals associated with the position. If there are affirmative action goals, the recruitment strategy should reflect the required good faith efforts to have a diverse pool of applicants. Proactive diversity recruiting. The importance of networking to improve your chances of attracting diverse candidates. When job opportunities arise on your team, start recruiting now by networking with people and groups that are likely to lead to diverse talent, and continue to network. Women in non-traditional fields and professionals of color in particular are highly sought after as employees, and when you are ready to hire, you are likely to face competition from other would-be employers. Developing a diverse slate of candidates, particularly for more senior level positions and those requiring specialized knowledge, such as IT, may take time. By networking continuously, you can build relationships that will serve as a feeder for underrepresented talent across disciplines and interests, and will give you an advantage when you are ready to hire. In particular, seek out opportunities that create face time with potential candidates, and remember, every connection made is an opportunity to promote this commitment to diversity and inclusion. Cultural diversity and your staffing needs. Recruiters understand the importance of networking and building relationships to find talent. Whether you are using social media, such as LinkedIn, or meeting people at an event, the important thing to keep in mind is focusing on your audience's needs instead of yours. Wendy Diodny, a recruiter, says, "If I pretend I'm the host at a function, it's easier to network because what host wouldn't look after their guests?" One of the most powerful conversational tools is to ask people questions about themselves and their ideas. The tricky thing about networking for cultural diversity recruitment is that asking people from different cultures questions requires skill to avoid unintentional cultural collisions. For example, while it may seem innocent and even complimentary to ask an African American woman about her hair, it often comes off as demeaning to some of them. An otherwise quality candidate may question your organization's climate for people of color as a result. Focusing on the type of qualifications you are seeking can help recruiters avoid cultural collisions. Start building trustworthy relationships that can result in more talent across different cultures seeking out opportunities to work in your organization. Diversity networking, where to go and what to do. Networking is a continuous, broad activity that can occur anywhere and anytime. Be aware of these resources to make connections to the diverse communities from which potential staff may be identified. Professional organizations representing diverse groups, such as the National Black MBA Association. Diverse affinity groups within your organization if they exist. Conferences, seminars, job fairs, and networking events. Online professional social networking media, such as LinkedIn and Facebook. Joining online groups relevant to your department and taking an active part in them will increase your networking opportunities. Search for the women and minority subgroups within these professional social media sites for optimal diversity outreach. Your own diverse friends, neighbors, and colleagues. How to promote network connections and potential candidates. It's not enough to locate potential diverse new hires. You also have to convince others to work for you in your department or unit. It may help to include the following talking points. 1. Our commitment to and progress in hiring for diversity. For example, since 2007, the percentage of our organization's cultural diversity has been increasing at a faster rate than ever before, from about 16% in 2007 to about 19% in 2010. We know we need to do more, and are committed to continuing our efforts to hire, support, and engage minority staff. 2. Proactive recruitment efforts. These include the creation of internal and external diverse pipelines. 3. Developing and advancing career opportunities. 4. Maintaining an inclusive work environment. The more you share the cultural diversity mission and what the organization is doing to meet it, the more candidates will view the efforts as sincere. Recruiting diversity for an open position. Posting the position. To attract a wide range of diverse candidates, you will need to cast a wide net. This means 1. Recruit externally to access an adequate and diverse pool. 2. In developing job descriptions for posting, be clear, but as broad as possible in describing the competencies and experiences needed for the job. Avoid describing the job so narrowly that all but a small group of job seekers will view it as attainable. If your initial applicant pool does not include a meaningful number of diverse candidates, including women and those of color, reevaluate your job postings and repost if warranted. This is especially important if the job is underutilized for women and/or minorities. Avoid making assumptions about a diverse candidate's ability to conform or feel comfortable on your team or in the position. For example, do not assume that a female candidate would not be compatible with your all-male team, or that an African American candidate would not be able to relate to your largely white American constituents. Focus first on the candidate's similarities to, rather than differences from, the way your staff and their colleagues and constituents approach their work. If your constituents are fast-paced, does the candidate have a similar style? If your staff is direct with each other, does the candidate demonstrate that he or she is comfortable with such communications? Next, consider whether the candidate's differences matter to the work he or she would do, and how those differences might actually enhance your team in its efforts. Avoid prematurely labeling one or more of your candidates as the most promising until all candidates have been considered. This will help ensure that all qualified candidates receive equal consideration. Prepare yourself with answers for questions diverse candidates are likely to ask. Diverse job candidates often ask important questions aimed at helping them determine whether an organization is truly inclusive and supportive, and whether they will be comfortable in their position. Be prepared to answer these commonly asked questions. 1. What are my chances for progressing, advancing my career here? 2. Do you have a formal mentoring program and/or career development programs? 3. What does the organization do in terms of community outreach efforts to partner with diverse groups? 4. Do you have employee affinity groups that focus on the needs of people like me and other groups? 5. Are managers trained to communicate with and manage diverse employees? 6. What initiatives has the organization participated in regarding diversity? 7. Does the organization have formal diversity initiatives and programs in place? Even if a candidate does not ask these questions, you may volunteer information that may help inform the candidate of your sincerity in welcoming diversity. Selecting candidates for consideration, screening and interviewing. As you follow the general steps of selecting candidates for your open position, here are some tips to help ensure diversity in your candidate pool and enhance your interviewing and selection process. Select an inclusive interview team. In selecting an interview team, consider including people who will bring diverse outlooks and who are respectful of different cultures and characteristics. Recognize the potential to bring unintended biases to the process, and address this by having a clear and open discussion among team members before beginning the interview process. Use the screening process to include rather than exclude candidates, to avoid missing attractive candidates. In reviewing qualifications, consider how each applicant might enhance diversity in the department and university-wide. Some applicants may expressly identify themselves as diverse. In other cases, a resume or application may reflect diversity or affiliations such as membership in a diverse organization or attendance at a historically black college, or a women-only or disability-focused school. If after screening candidates you find that there are only a few diverse candidates remaining, take a fresh look at those who have been passed over to make sure that you have not overlooked any potentially attractive candidates. This concludes the overview of this course. The remaining modules will guide you through the design and development of a high-impact cultural diversity recruitment plan.